Hello everyone, welcome to Apti Plus Academy for Civil Services. This is a video on daily news and editorial analysis, which I'll be covering from the Hindu and Indian Express. So the most important news and editorial of the day that is relevant for both prelims and mains examination perspective will be discussed in this session. Let's get started with the news topic list. Today is 7th of September. The first news, that is Bangladesh Prime Minister favor solution for the Teesta water treaty and many other issues. This is the first news of the day. Second, that is India's first nasal vaccine for COVID-19. Third, Prime Minister to launch cheetah reintroduction program soon. Fourth, Supreme Court asks center and states to ally EWS quotas concern. Second last, that is Supreme Court backs for disabled candidate into the Indian Police Services. And last is an editorial, India's 7% plus annual growth rate and the realities. Apart from the news and editorial discussion in this video, at the end of this video, there will be MCQ based question. These questions will be based on current affairs that will help you for the upcoming prelims examination. So without any further delay, let's get started. And before that, if you're new to our channel, do not forget to subscribe Apti Plus Academy for Civil Services on YouTube. If you like this video, if you find this video informative and helpful for your examination purposes, do not forget to press a like button. So starting the session with the first news of the day, that is Bangladesh Prime Minister favors solution for the Teesta water treaty and other issues, something relevant for General Studies paper 2 under the topic India and its neighborhood relation. So as I'm discussing regularly regarding the visit of the Bangladesh Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina, she is on a 4-day visit to India. So subsequently, just as a development, Hori will be following up the news. So Bangladesh Prime Minister, during a recent joint press statement, she has expressed the hope that the issue of Teesta water sharing treaty will be resolved between India and Bangladesh very soon, right? So this is on a positive note that both countries are looking forward to give a resolution to such water treaty, which has been long pending. Now, the Prime Minister of Bangladesh has highlighted that both India and Bangladesh, and called that India as an important and closest neighbor to Bangladesh. बात करें अगर इंडिया की नेबरहुड फर्स्ट पॉलिसी की जो NFP है, उसके मुताबिक बांग्लादेश एक इम्पॉर्टेंट कंट्री जिसको इंडिया रिकॉग्नाइज करती है. Now, Teesta River dispute is an important point of bilateral talks between both India and Bangladesh. And both countries have signed agreement in 2011 to share the surface water at Farakka Backrage near the basically which is for the mutual borders agreement. So this is a part of the development that has taken place. As बात करें 2011 के बाद तो कोई further development नहीं देखी गई है, and this is again a milestone that will be achieved in this particular visit of the Bangladesh Prime Minister. Now some details about the memorandum of understanding that was signed between India and Bangladesh. So कल दोनों countries के बीच में almost 7 MOUs जो हैं वो sign किए गए. The 7 number of MOUs were signed. So these are again a formal procedures between any delegation that is visiting to a country. So India and Bangladesh have signed 7 memorandum of understanding, right? और ये जो 7 memorandum of understanding है, MOU जो साइन की गई है, वो अलग अलग एरियाज में की गई है, which include railway, science and technology, space corporations, media and water sharing, right? खुशियारा water treaty की अगर बात करें, this was among the 7 deal that was signed between the two countries, that is India and Bangladesh. Now specifically अगर Ministry of Railways की बात करें, Ministry of Railway from India and Bangladesh, they have signed an agreement for training of their personnel for the Bangladesh Railway in India. तो जो ट्रेनिंग है बांग्लादेश पर्सनल्स को इंडिया में भी दी जाएगी. Now in a bid to help Bangladesh to deal with the energy crisis, India और बांग्लादेश के जो लीडर्स है, basically the Prime Minister, they have unveiled 1 unit of Maitri power plant, which is of 1320 megawatt super critical coal-fired thermal power plant at the Rampal in Khulna division of Bangladesh. तो ये कुछ basic important facts हैं जो आपके UPSC जैसे competitive examination and even for many other competitive examination, this is going to be relevant. Now, wish list of defense equipment that was demanded and even desired by Bangladesh. So Bangladesh Prime Minister has shared a list of wish list for the defense equipment कुछ विश लिस्ट शेयर किए गए हैं बांग्लादेश की तरफ से, विच इंक्लूड अ डाइवर्स रेंज ऑफ इक्विपमेंट्स इंक्लूडिंग द फ्लोटिंग डॉक, लॉजिस्टिक शिप, ऑयल टैंकर्स फॉर द बांग्लादेश नेवी। तो बांग्लादेश भी चाहती है वो अपने नेवी के कैपेबिलिटीज को बढ़ाए। दैट इज द रीजन दे हैव आस्क्ड a support from India and presented a wish list, right? So Bangladesh is monetizing basically अगर modernizations की बात करें, बांग्लादेश भी अपनी मिलिट्री को मॉडर्नाइज कर रही है, inducting the new weapon, improving infrastructure with its goal, जहाँ पे force goal 2030, this is a goal which Bangladesh has especially envisaged to modernize its forces. Now, India has said that it has a capability to meet the significant part of these requirement. जो भी requirement की गई है, India eligible है उन सारे requirement को fulfill करने के लिए. And even India aims to boost the defense cooperations between Bangladesh and India. Now, India is keen on offering the artillery gun, mortar, rockets, missile, support vehicles, electronic, engineering equipments, radars, helicopters. ये कुछ ऐसे ऑलरेडी इंडिया में मैन्युफैक्चर्ड प्रोडक्ट्स हैं जो इंडिया उनको दे सकती है। उसके अलावा मिलिट्री रैक्स, शिप बिल्डिंग सर्विसेज, दीज आर द कैपेबिलिटीज ऑफ इंडिया दैट इंडिया कैन प्रोवाइड अ सपोर्ट टू बांग्लादेश, राइट? सो दिस इज इन टर्म्स ऑफ डिफेंस एग्रीमेंट। दोज ऑफ यू हु आर हैविंग PSIR एज एन ऑप्शनल सब्जेक्ट, जिन बच्चों की PSIR ऑप्शनल है, वो स्पेसिफिकली अगर मेंस में ऑप्शन पेपर में लिखते हैं तो इन डिफेंस इक्विपमेंट से रिलेटेड बातों को भी हाईलाइट कर सकते हैं। Now, corporations in the high technology sector, Bangladesh also look forward to the scope of corporations in high technology in which India has an expertise. This include information technology and cyberspace because we have improved a lot in this. Satellite and space technology, maintenance and overhaul, and development of local defense industries and training. India, which is looking forward for more Indianization in the defense manufacturing and Atmanirbhar in defense manufacturing, will definitely help Bangladesh to get the overall technological sector supports. Now, the other news, that is India's first nasal vaccine for COVID-19, something relevant for General Studies Paper 2 under the topic Issues related to development and management of health. So recently, the Drug Control General of India, which is also known as DCGI, they have approved country first nasal vaccines, right? जिसको INCOV के नाम से जाना जाएगा, INCOVAC, right? This is INCOVAC developed by the Bharat Biotech for restricted emergency use purposes for the age group which is above 18 years. Now, this is only the second such vaccine which is developed in the world. ये दूसरी ऐसी वैक्सीन होगी जिसको डेवलप की गई है। इससे पहले चाइना ने वैक्सीन डेवलप की थी, दैट इज नोन एज कैंसिन, राइट? दिस इज कैंसिनो बायोलॉजिकल उन्होंने डेवलप किया है। दिस इज गॉट रेगुलर अप्रूवल इन चाइना। नाउ अराउंड द वर्ल्ड ऑलमोस्ट 100 म्यूकोसल, दैट इज नोज टू माउथ COVID-19 वैक्सीन डेवलप की जा रही है अक्रॉस द वर्ल्ड। ऐसी वैक्सीन जो या तो नोज या माउथ के थ्रू दी जाती है उसको म्यूसिकल वैक्सीन कहते हैं। आप इसमें पोलियो के वैक्सीन भी इंक्लूड कर सकते हैं। नाउ INCOVAC की अगर बात करें, दिस इज द इमेज, ऑफिशियल इमेज रिलीज्ड बाय द भारत बायोटेक। So INCOVAC is a chimpanzee adenovirus vector recombinant nasal vaccines that has been specifically formulated to allow the intranasal delivery through the nasal drop. So normal जिस तरह से nasal drop यूज की जाती है वही procedures follow करके vaccines को incorporate की जा सकती है, but basically it can be given. Now the nasal delivery has been designed and developed to cost effective in low and middle income countries, and vaccine need a special अगर टेम्परेचर की बात करें, इट्स नीड अ टेम्परेचर ऑफ 2 to 8 डिग्री सेल्सियस, विच इज अगेन प्रीटी इजी फॉर मोस्ट ऑफ द होम्स, दे हैव द रेफ्रिजरेटर, तो इसमें आप आराम से इस टेम्परेचर मेंटेन कर सकते हैं, राइट? अगेन दिस इज रेलेवेंट फॉर मेनी अदर कॉम्पिटिटिव एग्जामिनेशन। आपसे डायरेक्ट वैक्सीन के नाम पूछ सकते हैं या कौन से बेसिकली मैन्युफैक्चरर्स हैं भारत बायोटेक, ये दोनों भी इंपॉर्टेंट है। नाउ इंट्रानेजल वैक्सीन की अगर बात करें, इंट्रानेजल वैक्सीन फॉर COVID-19 can have a prime immune cells in the thin mucous membranes of nose and mouth and spot through the SARS-CoV-19 from which it enter into our body. तो SARS की बात करें, जो मेन एंट्री पॉइंट है SARS-CoV-19 वायरस की, वो या तो हमारी नेजल कैविटी के थ्रू होती है या तो माउथ के थ्रू होती है, राइट? तो इस तरह के ऑप्शंस इस वजह से एक्सप्लोर किए गए। Therefore, it can stop the virus from replicating into the spreading out the lungs and other parts of the body. Now, vaccine developers feel that the mucosal vaccines can be used for preventing mild cases of illness and block the transmissions to the other people as well. Now, an intranasal vaccine stimulate the broad immune response, that is neutralizing IgG, mucosa IgA और T cell response. IG जो G cells हैं ये काफ़ी इंपॉर्टेंट है इम्यूनिटी को लेकर के, एंड इवन इम्यूनोग्लोबिन, IG स्टैंड फॉर इम्यूनोग्लोबिन, तो ये काफ़ी इंपॉर्टेंट एस्पेक्ट्स है जो इस वैक्सीन के थ्रू बेसिकली न्यूट्रलाइज करते हैं, एंड इवन इट स्टिमुलेट द ओवरऑल इम्यून रिस्पॉन्स. So this is again a very important point. You can take a note of this. Very much relevant for the prelims examination. Moving to the other news of the day, that is Prime Minister to launch cheetah reintroduction program soon. Something relevant for General Studies paper 3 under the topic conservation, environmental pollution, degradation and EIA. So the Prime Minister is expected to launch the cheetah restoration project on 17th of September, that is this month for 2022. And he will release the spotted cat imported from South Africa. We are importing cheetahs from South Africa into the Kuno National Park in Madhya Pradesh. So this national park is very, very important. It has been significantly known in the news. और आप इसके लोकेशन और मैप पर जरूर देख लें इसके आसपास के लोकेशंस को. Now the Madhya Pradesh has got the translocation record as a tiger were successfully reintroduced in the Panna Tiger Reserve also. तो इस तरह की जो reintroduction program में मध्य प्रदेश की सक्सेस रेट काफ़ी अच्छी है. Now cheetah to glow again. Last cheetah died in India was in 1947 and the species was declared at extinct in 1952. So these are some of the factual point that is relevant for your exam. Project Translocation. The big cat from Africa was conceived in 2009 and an Air Force chopper will transport the cheetahs from Delhi to Kuno Tiger Park to minimize the travel time and fatigue. Basically, it is very tough to carry such animals, which is again, it can be problematic if it's traveling by the roadways. So they will be airlifted in an Air Force chopper. Now the 6 helicopter being built around, 6 helipad has been built around the park to serve dignitary and other expected peoples. Right? Now, the cheetahs are coming. This is again a pride moment for our country that such reintroduction program has started, and even the government of India is working towards conserving the total population of cheetahs. So a total number of 20 is expected. 8 is coming from Namibia currently. अभी 8 आ रही हैं. उसके अलावा 12 और आनी है साउथ अफ्रीका से. ये अभी अलाइंड है. अभी ये नहीं आएंगी. अभी सिर्फ Kuno में 8 जो है वो टोटल जाएंगे. Now from where to where? It's Kuno National Park. Kuno National Park have 600 hectare fenced enclosed for cheetahs. Right? What is the carrying capacity of Kuno? 21 cheetahs. कितने capacity है वहाँ पे? 21 cheetah की. What is the long-term population size that is expected? 36. And are there any translocation program? Yes, South Africa to Mozambique to Malawi. Right? Could it share their space? Yes, with the Asiatic land. So this is again an important point for prelims. आपसे ऐसे डायरेक्ट पूछा जा सकता है कि चीता किसी के साथ अपनी स्पेस शेयर नहीं करती, but it shared space with the Asiatic lands. And are there any threat? Yes, Kuno with existing leopard population, it has a threat. So these are some of the important basics about this cheetah reintroduction program that is recently going to be done. Now, above the Kuno Wildlife Sanctuaries, this is located in the Vindhyas Hill in the central MP, Madhya Pradesh में located है, central India में. And cut for the dry deciduous forest ecoregion. In 1990, it was selected for the possible implementation of the Asiatic lion reintroduction project. And 2009 में इस Kuno जो wildlife project है या जो sanctuaries हैं, इनको allow किया गया cheetah reintroduction programs के लिए भी. In December 2018, the state government has changed the status of wildlife sanctuaries to Kuno National Park. Now this is National Park, and Kuno National Park has a good prey base for cheetahs as well. Now African cheetah reintroduction project in India की बात करें, this was conceived in 2009. मैंने आपको स्टार्टिंग में बताया, and it was planned to introduce the big cat by November last year, but due to some of the suffering that we have seen to cheetahs before they induct into any other climate, बहुत ज़्यादा मेडिकल चेकअप की जाती है, तो उस समय ये कंडीशन नहीं थी. कोविड-19 के इन्फेक्शंस भी हाई राइज पे थे. So that is the reason it has been delayed. And the last cheetah died in 1949, right? In basically Kore district in the present Chhattisgarh, right? And मध्य प्रदेश में ये 1952 में एक्सटेंट डिक्लेयर कर दी गई थी. अब इनके नंबर्स आने के बाद कुछ समय के बाद ये होगा कि इसके एक्सटिंक्ट कैटेगरीज को हटा दिया जाए. Now, Supreme Court asked centers state to ally EWS quotas and concerns, something relevant for General Studies Paper 2, that is functions and responsibility of union and states and issues pertaining to the federal structure, that is the challenges pertaining to the federal structure. So recently, a constitutional bench of the Supreme Court, एक important point है, constitutional bench है Supreme Court की, जिन्होंने सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट और स्टेट गवर्नमेंट से पूछा है और इवन पेटिशनर से पूछा है कि जो लिस्ट ऑफ कंसर्न है वो बताएं सुप्रीम कोर्ट को कि रिजर्वेशन पॉलिसीज क्या प्योरली इकोनॉमिक बेसिस पे होनी चाहिए या नहीं होनी चाहिए, बिकॉज अ लॉट ऑफ डिबेट हैज ऑल्सो अराइजन अगेन एंड अगेन ओवर द टाइम. सो दिस इज द टाइम अ कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल बेंच विल डिसाइड अपॉन द मैटर. So question on the basic structure of the constitution, क्या ये जजमेंट हमारे बेसिक स्ट्रक्चर ऑफ कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन के अगेंस्ट जाएगी या उसके स्पिरिट में होगी, वी हैव टू सी. सो वन ऑफ देम वेदर इट इज द वायलेशन ऑफ द बेसिक स्ट्रक्चर ऑफ द कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन और नॉट, it has to be decided by the bench. It says that the basic structure of constitutions to include the scheduled caste, scheduled tribe and other most improvised social economically backward classes in the country from the scope. ऐसे लोग जो संपन्न है आर्थिक रूप से, क्या उनको भी रिजर्वेशन देने की जरूरत है, ये बात सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने पूछी. Now, beside raising the questions of whether the amendment breach the social structure of the constitution, including the SCBC, OBCs, STs and SC from the scope of EWS reservation, right? तो ड्राफ्ट में बेसिकली ये चीज़ों पे हाईलाइट की गई, जो 10% EWS की कोटा है ये इन्फ्रेज करती है 50% सीलिंग ऑफ द रिजर्वेशन, विच वॉज अगेन डिसाइडेड बाय द सुप्रीम कोर्ट. नाउ वैलिडिटी ऑफ 103 कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल अमेंडमेंट एक्ट, राइट? तो 103 जो कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल अमेंडमेंट एक्ट है, क्या उसकी वैलिडिटी को ये पूरा कर पाएगी? वी हैव टू सी दैट आल्सो. So the 5-judge bench led by the Chief Justice of India is considering the validity of 103 Constitutional Amendment Act, which provided for 10% of the reservations to economically and weaker section of a society in the government, job and educational institutions. Right? This include whether the amendment violated the Indira Sawani judgment, 1992 की judgment, एक बहुत ही important landmark judgment जिसमें बताया गया it disallowed the reservation based purely on the economic crisis. Right? जो economic जो क्राइटेरिया है सिर्फ उसी बेसिस पर रिजर्वेशन को इन्होंने डिसअलाउ किया था. सो लेट्स सी हाउ द सुप्रीम कोर्ट विल कम अप विद द जजमेंट्स. नाउ द चैलेंज टू 103 कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल अमेंडमेंट वाज टू रेफर अ 5-judge bench in 2020 and 3-judge bench has all refused to stay its implementations. तो 5 जज के बीच में 3 जज ने इसके इम्प्लीमेंटेशन को स्टे करने से मना कर दिया. बेसिकली दे हैव रिफ्यूज्ड टू स्टे इट्स इम्प्लीमेंटेशन, राइट? एंड the economic reservation was introduced in the constitution by amending article 15 and 16 and adding the clause that is empowering the state government to provide a reservation on the basis of economic backwardness. तो स्टेट के पास भी पावर है कि वो अपने अकॉर्डिंगली रिजर्वेशन पॉलिसीज भी डिसाइड कर पाएंगे. Now, Supreme Court bats for the disabled person or candidate for the Indian Police Services, something relevant for General Studies Paper 2, that is welfare schemes for the vulnerable section of the population by the center and the state. Those of you who are preparing will definitely gain some information with this news. So recently, while hearing a petition, the Supreme Court has asked the central government that whether they can lower the scale of eligibility of disability for applying to the Indian Police Services. जो IPS है उनके लिए जो डिसेबिलिटी क्राइटेरिया रखी गई है, क्या उसमें कुछ और रिलैक्सेशन दी जा सकती है? ऐसा सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने पूछा है सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट से. द सुप्रीम कोर्ट हैज आस्क्ड द सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट. Now the petition has argued that if the country like Israel, America, Canada can accommodate the disabled, why can't India do so? Right? इंडिया को भी इस तरह की चीज़ों को करने की जरूरत है. ऑलरेडी ग्लोबल प्रैक्टिसेस है जो कि फॉलो अप की जा रही है. Now the NGO has challenged the announcement of the September last year, which exclude the disabled from certain branches of the civil services, both in combat and administrative capacities. तो कॉम्बैट में तो ऑलरेडी बॉटलनेक्स होंगे, उनके साथ चैलेंजेस होंगे, बट क्या एडमिनिस्ट्रेटिव सेटअप में उनको नहीं रख सकते हैं? ऐसी बातें भी कही गई है. नाउ एकोमोडेटिंग इन साइबर विंग, सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने कहा है, जो सुप्रीम कोर्ट की 2-judge बेंच थी, उन्होंने कहा कि दे हैव नोटेड दैट द पुलिस डिपार्टमेंट इज हैविंग अ साइबर क्राइम विंग, जो कि एक बहुत ज़्यादा डिमांडिंग विंग होती जा रही है आज की डेट में, जिस तरह साइबर क्राइम बढ़ रहे हैं, तो क्या जो एक साइबर क्राइम विंग है जो कि ग्रॉसली अंडर स्टाफ्ड है, वहाँ पे अभी भी मैन पावर की कमी है, वैसे जो मैन पावर की कमी है उनको मॉनिटर करने के लिए, उनको सुपरवाइज करने के लिए इन IPS ऑफिसर्स को भी हम रख सकते हैं. They have said that they can accommodate the disabled person who clear the services. So this is what the Supreme Court has been pitching for. And again, I really appreciate that these type of efforts has been made by Supreme Court. There's remarks has been made by Supreme Court, and it will definitely empower society to the larger extent. Now, abuse of rights, the exclusion of disability person amount to the abuse of right to personal with a disability act. Supreme Court ने पहले भी कहा है, this has allowed that disabled person who have cleared the civil services examination, written examination till April 1st can provisionally apply to the Union Public Service Commission for the selection into the IPS, Indian Railway Protection Force, services in Delhi, Andaman, Diu, Dadar and Nagar Haveli, जिसको डैनिक्स और डैनिप्स भी कहते हैं, and Lakshadweep Police Services. Right? Now, moving to the editorial of the day, that is India's 7% plus annual growth and the realities. Something relevant for General Studies Paper 3, that is Indian economy and issues related to planning, mobilization, resource growth and development. So the theme of this editorial is India's growth roadmap. और इस एडिटोरियल को समझने के लिए 4 इंपॉर्टेंट सबहेड्स हैं जो मैं आपके साथ डिस्कस करूंगा. दिस इंक्लूड द कंपोजिशन ऑफ ग्रोथ, द डिमांड साइड ऑन द फिजिबिलिटी एंड द रेज इन द इन्वेस्टमेंट रेट. तो अगर नेशनल स्टैटिकल ऑफिसर्स के रियल GDP एस्टिमेट्स को देखें, it quoted that 13.5% for the first quarter, that is for 2022 and 23, and is 2.7% lower than the Reserve Bank earlier estimation. रिजर्व बैंक ने एस्टिमेट किया था 16.2, बट जो एक्चुअल ग्रोथ प्रोजेक्ट की है NSO ने, दैट इज 13.5. नाउ अज्यूमिंग द सेंट्रल बैंक एस्टिमेशंस फॉर द रिमेनिंग 3 क्वार्टर्स, अगर बात करें फिजिकल ईयर्स की, तो सेकंड क्वार्टर में 6.2 की ग्रोथ एंटिसिपेट की गई है, 4.1 in third quarter and 4% in fourth quarter, right? So this has been realized as an annual growth using the NSO first estimate work, which has worked out to be 6.7%. Now, this indicates that the performance of Indian economy is not fully normalized yet. Although recovery में है Indian economy, but पूरी तरह से normalized नहीं हुई है, and it would be basically yet to have been consistent with a growth of 6.5% to 7%. We need to achieve this target as early as possible. Now, in order to reach out the annual growth rate of 7%, the GDP may have to grow by about 5% in third quarter and 4% in basically quarter 4. तो ये कुछ ज़रूरत है जिस हिसाब से आगे बढ़ने की ज़रूरत है. नाउ कंपोजिशंस ऑफ ग्रोथ आउट ऑफ 8 ग्रॉस वैल्यू एड GVA की अगर बात करें, फर्स्ट क्वार्टर्स में जो परफॉर्मेंस है दैट इज हायर देन द एवरेज, विच इज 12.7% इन द पब्लिक एडमिनिस्ट्रेशंस, डिफेंस एंड अदर सर्विसेज, विच इज 26.3. आप डेटा देख लें, दिस इज नॉट दैट रिलेवेंट, बट आपको क्रोनोलॉजी या ट्रेंड पता होना चाहिए. ट्रेड, होटल, ट्रांसपोर्टेशन में 25%, कंस्ट्रक्शन 16.8%, and electricity, gas and water is supply is 14.7%. Even you can pause this video, you can take out the note of this. Now agriculture grown has remained a robust, showing the growth of 4.5%. Just to correct it, this is 4.5%, right? In first quarter, which is the highest over the 9 consecutive quarters. तो अभी तक के जितने 9 quarters में सबसे highest report की गई. Now growth in manufacturing is 4.8%. However, it is much below with the overall average. Demand side की अगर बात करें, on demand side the major segment have showed the magnitude for the quarter 1. So where it is higher than the corresponding levels, that is the quarter 1 for 1920. Right? Recovery in the domestic demand has been reflected in the growth rate. Private final consumption expenditure की बात करें, ये 25.9% at the fixed gross capital formation is at 20.1% of the corresponding quarter of the previous. Right? So this section is pretty data driven. आप थोड़े ध्यान से समझे इसे. Now, as compared to quarter 1, 1920, GFCF की अगर बात करें, that is the gross fixed capital formation, it has shows the growth rate of 6.7%, right? And the ratio of the fixed capital formation to GDP at the current is 29.2%, right? Which is 1% higher than the investment, that is 28.2 थी, उससे बढ़ करके इस year 29.2%. Now, on the feasibility part, Indian economy may still grow to 7% growth rate, right, overall. and it can perform better to subsequent quarters, in particular last 2 years. तो कुछ दो important aspects पे ध्यान देने की जरूरत है. The first is to further increase the investment rate and is to reduce the magnitude of negative contribution of the net export. So if these things have worked out, definitely the growth rate of 7% to the GDP overall yearly basis is hugely possible. Raise investment rate, this is what has been demanded. So the keys to growth lies in the investment rate. जो public expenditure है, that has shown a rise. Private capital expenditures, both corporate and non-corporate को बढ़ाने की ज़रूरत है. And even to achieve 7% of the growth, the shortfall of 2.7 lakh crore is required. These are the shortfall that is essentially there. And India's growth part in the next few years must depend on the domestic investment, which is picking. And service sector की बात करें, service sector growth and then investment must be focus of the policy makers, removing the bottlenecks for creating a favorable climate. So these things need to be worked upon. If well implemented, definitely we can achieve a target of 7% of the growth rate, annual growth rate, right? Now moving to the MCQ questions of the day. Before I proceed, just to tell you the answers of yesterday questions. The first question, the correct option is C. For second question also, the correct option is C. Today's MCQ for practice. Quadrilateral security dialogue या quad के बारे में आपको बताना है. It's a strategic dialogue between India, US, Japan and Australia. I've discussed this a lot many times. I think you must be aware of the answer. And it aims to ensure and support free, open and prosperous Indo-Pacific. Do check it out for the correct options. Second is with regards to Sambar Lake. It's the third largest inland lake in the world. It represents the depression of the Aravalli Ranges. Basic question which you can easily able to answer. If not, you have to check for the correct options. This was all about for the daily news and editorial analysis, followed by the MCQ questions. If you have any other concern, you can let me know. I'll be more than happy to assist you. For time being, I'm signing off. Thank you so much for watching this video.